This is Age of Empires 2. We're here on Xbox Series S. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is one of the greatest, or really I personally think the greatest real-time strategy title ever created. It is an epic experience of building a civilization, expanding your territory, and just building a bit of an empire. So we're showing just the start of a game, and we'll also switch about halfway through to a more developed game, in case you were curious to see, what that was like. So what are we getting here on the Series S? Well, this is an interesting setup. It's actually, we need to send you over here to look. It's 1440p, but just like if you saw the Series X video on this particular one, the game actually has a host of different settings. So this is kind of the default where it's a high option, but we're going to turn it to ultra preset just so you can really see it getting pushed. But you can switch between visual setting options and go all the way to ultra. So there's also things such as anti-aliasing, rendering the 3D water, blood, the sharpness, intensity of the different experiences and options here. So it's kind of like almost future-proofed, which is really, really cool. So we're gonna save that. I also wanted to quickly show off, there's a number of UI options. You can use mouse and keyboard or the controller. And yeah, I do actually feel that they nail the controller elements, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as we play the game. There's also crossplay and mod support, which is really, really cool. So it's 1440p, 30 FPS. There is variable refresh rate, which is VRR, and yeah, that's kind of the different settings when it comes to the visual options within the game. Okay, we need to build a few houses to get going, and then talk about this experience a little bit more in depth. So once we get these guys kind of built, we'll really be rolling. So this is a game where, as you saw with crossplay, so you could play multiplayer. There's up to 8 players. You can set up matches. You can do several co-op campaigns. There's 10 multiplayer modes. There's something like 80 plus maps and design concepts that can pop up as you're playing. Over 35 civilizations. There's like a definitive or an upgraded deluxe edition or something like that of this game. So that is kind of where I think some of the extra kind of civilizations and whatnot are part of. So keep that in mind, what version you're getting when you're looking at this. And there's something like 34 different campaigns to play. And the campaigns are historical elements. So basically you'll get things such as, I like to use the example of Joan of Arc. I think Wallace is like the tutorial type character and whatnot in regards to, like, when you're first starting off, what kind of characters you get. Yeah, I'm thinking that the farm over here is probably the best idea to get that going. Just trying to space everything out for this area. Getting like a bit of a snow spot. So yeah, you get like a few different options for how you want to, kind of tackle different challenges and stuff along the way. And the campaign missions are more structured. So this is a skirmish match. This is usually where I spend my time playing Age of Empires. It's just fun little adventures that you can do in order to, oh, well, that was bad. In order to just do quick matches with the different civilizations and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like a different way to kind of play it. And that's really when you go to solo player. It's like skirmishes, you want to do campaigns. So the campaigns have tons of content. And, they actually have some really interesting stuff because they are, to a degree, historical as well. So it's a great, like, teaching tool and mechanic. I'd actually really love if Microsoft could take that concept of this as a teaching tool and go a little bit further with it for, like, classroom scenarios, but I don't know if we'll see that anytime soon. But it's just like it's a neat sort of idea. And you can really set up your different scenarios in unique ways as you play as the different civilizations, you do the different elements of combat. There's quite a lot to do in this game, and it really is something that is strategic, expansive, and something that you can just keep playing over and over and over again. And this is something that's basically got decades of, I guess you would say, development and growth behind it. That might sound weird, but literally the game has been around for a very, very long time. they've done a definitive and then a definitive, and we're kind of seeing that now available with this like console version. And you know, like I said, it's just, to me, it's such an important game. I absolutely loved this growing up. I've continued to enjoy this over the years. So it's nice to be back taking a look at it from a different perspective. So looking at the Series S version, it's definitely, you know, some of the building outlines a little bit more jagged. You can definitely tell that there's a resolution decrease in regards to comparing it to the Series S. Now that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. I mean, you do want some decent performance when it comes to the experience. You know what I mean? You want it to run decently well. You want it to look good. You might, in the end game, notice a little bit more intensity depending on the settings and if you've created like a ludicrous world in regards to how big it is. This is like a large world. And there's also like a giant world, just because the complexity of the buildings and the amount of units on a world and a map, it can get really exponentially large as time progresses. So that's something where the scenario of basically like the game gets too overworked, or the console gets too overworked because there's too much going on in the game. But it's nice that you can play it with mouse and keyboard controls that feel intuitive, or if you can jump on and use your mouse and keyboard just as you always have. So a neat kind of thing, and I wish you could actually turn off more of the UI. You can click in the right stick, and there's preset management elements that you can set up to have your villagers most effectively gather differing resources for you. Personally, for me, I like to set up all of the different resources and the allocation of my different villagers myself, but I know some people might find it easier. You can also do things with the D-pad where you can like click, you know, basically, let's say we went left on the D-pad there. We were able to select our military. And then you can click down on the D-pad and it'll take you to your village center, or maybe your livestock. So they've created these like quick menus that allow you to more easily jump over to certain perspectives and situations across the map. And I think that helps a lot with the console experience. There's like, you know, the top left menu, and it's just like a button click to change, say, the formation of your units. So if you've got like a bunch of little horses, or a bunch of knights, and there's a lot of meta to this game. I play for more fun, quite honestly. You know, I play for the enjoyment of Age of Empires. But some people are really intense about the competitive elements of, like, you know, combat and the layering of their troops. And you know what? I totally get that. It's interesting and cool. And yeah, it's just like single tap formations. I think it's like literally pressing Y with units, and they shift between the different formations. So they've actually found a really, really effective way of, like, you know, kind of setting it up where you feel like you're in control, you don't feel like you're having any problems or really missing out on any things. I do find that, like, the snap element is a little too aggressive sometimes, where you'll snap onto things. Like, earlier you might have saw me building the houses, and it's like it really, really snaps to that kind of, like, grid, if that makes sense. So that is an aspect that can feel a little annoying to deal with, is just like that snapping aspect of, you know, the game kind of like highlighting the wrong thing, but it's really not that bad. And like I said, I do generally feel that they nailed the control scheme, because that was the biggest worry for me when coming into this particular game, was like, how are the controls going to handle on the console version? You know, it's a big worry for me that, like, you know, is the game going to properly be controllable, or are we going to have, like, you know, some problems here or there? Because it's hard to get an RTS to transfer over. You know, we've seen some success in the past, but I would say they absolutely just nailed it with this one. It feels really, really good. Now, one funny part is when you set up a ludicrous map and you have all the teams and everything like that, and you play it for a bit. It's the first time I've ever seen these consoles actually take time to load. Now, keep in mind, I do have like a pre-build that I'm working on right now, so maybe the loading will be a bit faster with the full release. But yeah, it's literally the first time I've ever seen these consoles have to sit here and like load something. Blows my mind. I didn't even know this was possible. But yeah, Age of Empires 2 is such a treat. They have created and basically ported over one of the true gems of the RTS, the real-time strategy genre, to the console. Absolutely nailed it. And, you know, for me, it's very, very important. I'm literally just showing the loading here, so you get an idea of things. For how long it actually takes to load this, it's mind-blowing. It's worth the wait, though. It's going to jump into a crazy cool map where stuff is, like, actually progressed along. But, you know, it's just, again, I'm just telling you, like, it really does mean a lot to me. And it matters to me a lot that they nail this, because this is, like, one of my top games of all time. I played this so much when I was younger, this game. It really did matter to me. And I've seen it, you know, over the years, and, you know, the kind of, like, changes and stuff like that. So it is amazing that we've got this beautifully, you know, upgraded version that is so well put together. It's lovely. That's really what it is. It's lovely to see this sort of thing. I really didn't know what to expect. If that makes sense. Like, I genuinely wasn't sure how this was going to turn out. I was like, I think the potential is here, but it's like, are they going to nail this? You know, is it going to live up to my expectations? Is it going to be the game I grew up loving so many years ago, but in, like, a new platform that people can enjoy it? And I'd say absolutely yes, they've done it. They absolutely did. I'm really loving this. I've been having a blast sitting here playing skirmish matches, trying out some of the different campaign stuff. You know, there's, like, the online multiplayer with the crossplay, like I mentioned. There's, like, mod support. The mods all seem very temporary at the moment, because, again, this is, like, a preview build sort of thing. But, you know, I am very excited to see what exactly we're gonna get, you know, long-term on this one. We've seen with the other, I guess you would say, like, iterations of the Age of Empires content on, you know, the PC. We've seen so many different like, upgrades and new civilizations added and new expansions, and I hope that the console side of things really does get all of that support, as this really does feel like something that you can really support into the long term. And I'm so intrigued to see, you know, how this all really turns out, if that makes sense. Like, I genuinely am like, huh, you know, what is the long-term plan for this? I hope they just keep expanding upon it, because this has been awesome to play. It really has. And I'm hoping that there's literally, like, a whole new generation of Age of Empire players that, like, you know, jump into this for the first time and are just as amazed and delighted by the gameplay as I am. And I know that it's not perhaps necessarily going to be for everyone. Fun fact, that boar killed the person there in that field, and I was just like, oh, we're not going to deal with that. But yeah, I really do, like, it means, this game means so much to me. This franchise means so much to me. And, you know, when I come here and I'm like, wow, they actually really did it. That's what I'm trying to say, is they really actually put this together well, and I'm so pleased with it. And it's a game where it's not just, you know, about specifically combat, if that makes sense. Like, it is a game where it's like, hey, you know, you can fight with your different troops and whatnot, but it's also a game where you can win with different, you know, concepts. Like, you can go for a bit of a, like, a cultural type thing with the wonder. You can, you know, you can collect, there's, like, relics, there's, like, score-based kind of victory things. Like, there's quite a few ways for you, you know, to basically make your mark in this world here, and I think that in itself is really cool, that they give you differing options. And then when you go and you do the campaign stuff, that's where I'm saying there's even more, you know, kind of complexity, because the campaigns, you're actually more directly being like, okay, so sometimes you gotta build stuff, sometimes you need to, you know, command these troops in a certain way, and win this battle in a certain way, or interact with this historical character in a certain way. And I think that, you know, is really, really cool. I think that's very, very well done. Because it offers a lot of, like, educational type things, and, you know, it's a really fun way to interact with history. And while it might be a little simpler because, you know, it's Age of Empires 2, I still think, you know, for the most part, that the tales and the way that the story stuff is done is really, really good. You know what I mean? I really do, you know, love what the concept that they have in this one for building stuff. It's so interesting. And it's just so interesting dealing with all, like, the historical characters and, you know, getting an idea of what I don't know, I guess you would say the creations of certain, like, warriors in history, seeing, you know, Joan of Arc make a mark in what's, you know, in her land, and it's just, like, it's a very interesting sort of, like, game in that regard, is what I'm trying to say. It offers a lot for you to do, and it's something that I'm trying to decide how to build my wall here, because I don't want people just rushing in and attacking my wonder. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just, like, I'm trying to, like, plan it out and have, like, a gate too. So I'm trying my best there. Wow, there's, like, 4 guys here. Go and build the wonder. Oh, they ran out of... Oh, they ran out of stone. That's not good. I need stone. Huh, that's not good at all. Did I really just block off trees that aren't even, like, really accessible? Okay, well, that's not good. Okay, you need to not get to the war side and actually go and build a mining camp over here and go work on this. Sorry, we still do need stone. It's you know, you can't just subside off of not having that, especially when you're trying to build, you know, a great wonder in case you get, like, attacked by someone. Though we seem pretty secluded, everyone in this game build. Anyways, like I was saying, it's just neat because it's like I felt like I learned a bit about history. Well, maybe a lot about history while playing this game over the years. And I think other people can too, and hopefully other people appreciate what this game offers, because there's not many quite like this. Yeah, sure, you can go and have, like, epic night battles and conflict and stuff. You know, like, obviously, if you want to go and do that, go nuts, right? But, you know, there is more to it, is what I'm trying to get at. It's not just a game of, like, oh, go and battle, but it's a game where it's kind of like, oh, this historical figure did this in this time, and, you know, you'll have to help them get to greatness, and, you know, to me, that's always a pretty cool sort of thing, if that makes sense. And also a but I'd really love if the end result of this one, and I know we're getting Age of Empires 4 for sure, I really do genuinely hope the end result is seeing, you know, the whole sort of, like, you know what I mean? The whole Age of Empires franchise coming here. I think they're kind of working on, like, combining 1 into 2 to a degree or something like that is in their plans. But if we could get 3, and if we could get, you know, Age of Mythology, you know, technology permitting, it would be really, really incredible just to have the entirety of this epic, you know, series return to the console, because, you know, it was on, like, a PS2 or whatever back in the day, which is funny. But, you know, see it all available here in one place and be able to play these strategy games and love them, you know, to the degree that I've loved them, I think would be, it would be awesome. You know, I would genuinely love to have that available. I think it would be so cool. And I think other people will hopefully appreciate this. And, you know, it's not quite as visually sharp as the Series X version, which is expected. But I still think this looks really, really good. I think they did a good job on this version of it for Series S. I think you're gonna... Oh, these guys are there. I think you're gonna enjoy it as much as I have, and you're gonna have a good time with it, and you're gonna be impressed by what this has to offer, because this is just such an excellent, well-developed, well-put-together game. with so many epic moments and adventures for you to have as you battle in different skirmishes, build great walls, and make a mark.